So not that long ago, on the actual official Trainee YouTube community tab, I believe, it was announced that they would be deleting every single account that was under Trainee's name after the 23rd, so today. And it started happening, it definitely did. I, at the time when they announced it, saw a lot of people basically being either very worried because, it's literally them saying that they're going to delete everything, which is not pretty usual. And a lot of people that were being hopeful that it would mean that they basically were just rebranding and coming back to actually announce that they were going to debut, of course, under a different name than Trainee. And specifically with Big Hit trademarking an actual name that started with A. I don't remember necessarily what it was anymore. But with them trademarking a name, everyone was pretty much getting excited, and definitely with the public growing and actually getting to know them and their content doing pretty well, and them definitely seeming like a pretty well already established and trained group. People were expecting a lot, but of course their whole concept and the thing that Big Hit was trying to do in creating a group that would be able to do everything themselves. So Trainee was literally being trained to be a group that could produce themselves, write them lyrics for themselves, that could choreograph themselves. Literally they were going to be the group that would basically not need anything, which of course from a marketing standpoint would be interesting. It would be a group that would bring something new. And also it would be financially, I guess, great because they wouldn't really need to be using a lot of money from outside producers and all of that. But of course, for trainees that are getting into the company and probably were already in the company for a few years, which we know they were, it's kind of they expect maybe to be able to produce something later on once they, learn with an actual producer in the company or something like that. But for them to be basically told that their whole project is going to be about them having the possibility and having the creative capability of doing this themselves, it puts a lot of pressure on them. And we know that trainee life is already a huge pressure. And I feel like we started to definitely see that was getting and being too much for them and that they were probably not expecting this. I mean, it does also kind of feel like the company just was do it yourselves. We will help you to get there, but you'll have to do everything yourselves. And in a way, specifically with how K-pop is going, I felt like there could potentially go wrong, especially because I wouldn't really imagine them actually being able to do this completely with the company loving every single decision that they do. I feel like it would be impossible for that to actually end up happening truly how maybe Big Hit wanted or envisioned it to happen. So when Leo left, which I do believe a lot of it was also, of course, stress from being the leader of a group that clearly needed to have a capability that not a lot of other groups have, little to any group have. But also the hate that he definitely did get a lot for the lyrics that he wrote for that freestyle rap, which, I mean, if you don't know, then I'm not gonna, comment too much on that. You can't just Google about it. But it did feel like all of those things combined definitely did not help. And I mean, he did apologize. Of course, it's not for me to say that anyone or everyone needed to take his apology, but it did feel genuine to me at least. But of course, I am probably the least important opinion in this matter because it was pretty much very related to misogyny and women. And so another man saying, I felt like his apology was good, that doesn't matter at all in here because it's not my feelings that were hurt, so I cannot really speak on that. But I do know that a lot of other fans also felt the same way. Of course, they're young. I try to always look at it in that perspective, but that's my personal opinion, so it's not to be called upon here. But once he left and they announced his leaving, and with him being pretty much one of the biggest hands in terms of real lyric writing and producing, I feel like they definitely took a really huge step back. And so given that I believe they were going to either debut at the end of this year or beginning of the next year, I just imagined, well, maybe it's going to take a bit longer, which makes sense, but I expected that we would sometimes still get some content. When they completely stopped posting, I was kind of like, well, maybe they're just, pre-recording some content. That's okay. They started a whole documentary series, like showing how they're doing. So I just imagined maybe they're starting it up again. Now that Leo has left, they need to sort of like show what they ended up doing with the completely new dynamic. I even expected that maybe we could get someone else coming into the group, new members with fresh perspectives. I just expected that we would still always have the other members that we clearly saw and that had huge amounts of talent. Like, I just expected that. I had that hope, at least. So it came with a bit of a shock when suddenly they announced on the community tab that they were finishing and closing up everything. They didn't really specifically say that they were never going to debut again, but a lot of people were kind of saying, well, if this was to prepare for the debut, they wouldn't delete the accounts, they would just delete the content, maybe even, and just, change the name and then come back with a rebrand. I always just still hoped that it would be that. I hoped that even if they deleted everything, it was just to create more buzz and that then the group would still debut and come back stronger. But now it's today. I'm filming this, at least it's today, and they have deleted everything. And I saw a TikTok about it and I was like, still hoping. And then I saw someone comment that one of the trainees posted something on his Instagram story, and that was like the breaking point of them realizing that truly it was not going to happen anymore. And well, yeah, he ended up posting saying that he was very sorry to announce, but that their project ended and that it was not going to happen, but moving forward that he hoped that people would still support them individually, whatever like they end up following and doing. I'm not gonna lie to you, I was pretty excited about them. I followed them since like before they even like were found out to be Big Hit. They were posting and not really like saying that they were from Big Hit. And so I started actually watching their videos before all of the internet basically discovered who they were. And I do understand, like, it was a smart decision to give us a perspective, but also, like, it sucks to now basically have gotten so used to and basically even, like, fallen in love with the possibility of this new group and with the members' personalities and with their music style, specifically because they were so personal, just to now basically say, you know what? They are not really able to do what we like want them to do or something else. Of course, we don't know really what happened, but I do believe that maybe it was the possibility of them not being able to succeed to, of course, the standards that maybe Hybe and Big Hit had to follow, like this new generation of their groups. But I gotta say, if they didn't have the like insatiable need to create this sort of concept for them, and if they were to just create a group where they would produce their music, help them produce their music, help them write their lyrics, help them choreograph as they do with any other group, they could still, of course, be training them in the side to one day maybe get to that level, but they had talent enough to debut. And that's what really sucks to me, and that's what really upsets me, is that any of these trainees would be perfect for a group and they would be able to debut if the company didn't have another concept in mind. They would be a great group to debut with any other concept, but just the fact that they put this much pressure on them to come actually like prepared with everything themselves, I feel like that was the breaking point. And it just sucks. And of course, I try to be hopeful and like I'm not going to judge them too fast on anything, but it does suck. I imagine that unfortunately it's going to be very difficult. First of all, I don't know if they're maybe going to try and still debut the members in other groups. I don't think that that's going to happen, especially with like this member in particular coming back to his Instagram, posting about it, and the way he wrote it, I just feel like he potentially has left the company. I don't know if all of them probably have left the company. I don't know if anyone has left the company, of course, but I'm imagining since he is posting about it, that potentially that could be it, and that maybe some other members also decided to leave the company. It could potentially be that with the like Leo leaving and with them basically losing what potentially, or not potentially, even just 100% was the leader of the group, that could have potentially also just like, been the breaking point for a lot of the members. But I can already see and imagine how people are going to react to the actual next big hit group once they do debut a new group. How people are going to react to that group and say that it should have been Trainee A, it should have been this, it should have been that. We know how K-pop fans are. I can already see the wind world that these members are going to have to react to and get to. And it's just like, it's such a horrible situation that could have just been, treated much better than it was. Of course, I still hope for the best for the whatever group Big Hit decides to debut. I am pretty sure they have a lot of amazing trainees. I will definitely support any of the trainees that were under Trainee A and in Trainee A if they ever decide to debut. I did have already a bias in mind, and I will definitely follow his path, whatever that path may be. And I'm excited to see what happens in the future for them. I hope that they do end up debuting in other groups or in a group together in Hybe. I don't know. You don't know. Maybe they will be in Island season 2. That not the female one, another male one. Maybe we'll see them. I'm hoping that we will. And I would like to know what you guys think about this. What did you think about this whole situation? What do you think potentially could have happened or happened in order for them to not follow through with their debut? I am sad, but also hopeful that this is not the end for all of them or any of them. That's at least my hope.